hidden sci-fi B-movie gems that people neglect just because they had low budgets. While high-street sci-fi movies can sway people with their fantastic special effects and creative storylines, people often ignore a plethora of B-sci-fi films that were created over the years just as thought-provoking and entertaining. This video will show you a few hidden gems made throughout the 80s and 90s that were just as great, but were neglected due to their low budgets.
Before we go into our list, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click from you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's begin.
You terrorists.
Oh, shit.
Remember LA?
Hey!
Nemesis, 1992. In a futuristic setting, the concept of illegal androids is thriving as criminals enhance their abilities with cybernetic components. They claim that these make them something more than human. Alex Rain is a cyborg LAPD bounty hunter. He is attacked by a group of cyborg freedom fighters who call themselves the Red Army Hammerheads during a mission. While their leader, Rosarita, almost kills Alex, they also claim that he is a mindless robot, as most of him is still human. Based on this, Alex questions his lifestyle and decides to leave the force. However, his former boss, Farnsworth, insists that he complete one final assignment. This involves him going after his former lover, Jared, who has come in possession of important information and must be stopped before leaking it to the Hammerheads. It is then that Alex learns of the truth about who he is working for. Albert Pyun's Nemesis presents viewers with an exciting combination that is seen often but not appreciated enough. It is filled with thought-provoking ideas wrapped in a hardcore action thriller. The concept of there being a thin line between identifying the difference between humans and cyborgs in the future allows writers Rebecca Charles and Albert Pyun to instill utmost paranoia within the audience, one that they are vastly familiar with. The film might be low budget, but its special effects are top-notch, and it contains an underlying melancholy mood expressed via Michel Rubini's lamenting musical score. Not to mention, this B-sci-fi flick also marked a huge step forward in the film industry for former kickboxing champion Olivier Grunner, playing the protagonist Alex. The movie portrays cyberpunk imagery throughout as viewers get to see Alex's cybernetic implants. Everything in the film, right down to its filming among the ruins of Los Angeles, makes it worth your while. It contains a neo-noir atmosphere that very few filmmakers can successfully incorporate within sci-fi films, but Albert Pyun blew the audience away with this one. Split Second, 1992. After most of the polar ice caps have melted due to global warming in 2008, the world suffers from terrible flooding all over. Unfortunately, London has been hit the hardest, now submerged under several feet of water. Within this chaos, there lies a new killer who is unnatural, unrelenting, and unstoppable. Police officer Harley Stone vows to bring down the serial killer since he killed his partner. With a new partner, Stone must find his girlfriend, who has also been kidnapped by this same killer. However, when the two finally locate him, they are unprepared for what they see. Split Second, directed by Tony Maylam and Ian Sharp, has all the makings of a cult favorite. It is a brisk-paced action sci-fi buddy cop film combined with tech-noir. Not to mention the protagonist, Rutger Hauer, plays Harley Stone, and who doesn't love to see him? Despite being on a shoestring budget, Maylam and Sharp concocted a set of memorable characters, thrilling action sequences, and edge-of-the-seat suspense when it came to the serial killer. Moreover, the film spared no production value while filming in the most diverse locations, ranging from the London necropolis to sewers infested with rats. They all have the perfect vibe for a cop and an extraordinary futuristic villain to have their showdown. Interestingly, the film's initial script, named Pentagram, written by Gary Scott Thompson, involved a serial killer, but not quite the type showed in Split Second. This script had more of a ritualistic occult vibe rather than sci-fi. However, Challenge Films came in and commissioned the film to be directed by Malum and Sharp, keeping Thompson for rewrites. This was when the film's buddy cop concept was also incorporated, which wasn't there initially.
Get his brain out! Don't let go his arm!
Saturn III, 1980. In a futuristic world, scientists are working to grow food and find shelter for the starving and overpopulated Earth. On one of Saturn's moons, two scientists who are also lovers are working on growing food. Their isolation is disrupted when a deranged technocrat from Earth appears along with his cunning robot. When he transfers his maddening homicidal tendencies to his robot, it develops a murderous mind of its own, putting everyone at risk. Stanley Donen's Saturn III might seem like a film about two lovers in a distraught world where one of them is being replaced by a robot. But if viewers look deeper, they will discover that it's so much more. It's very evident that the filmmakers certainly have an inclination towards ambiguous plotlines. Unlike most low-budget sci-fi flicks, which are just projects waiting to be completed, Donen and his crew put in an immense amount of effort to make Saturn III. The film contains a more than reasonable plot that constitutes intense sci-fi horror, but one shouldn't disregard the romance subplot on the side. Although it has its campy special effects, average acting, and lousy comical moments, the final product is still quite entertaining. The Blood of Heroes, 1989. In a barren, post-apocalyptic world, most survivors and inhabitants live in shambles. In this world, due to lack of entertainment, there is a sport known as the game that is a brutal version of football. The teams that play it call themselves Jugs. These players earn their living from the tribute that the townsfolk pay. Sallow is a former player of the sport from a team from one of the 9 cities. They are a group of people who live underground and have their own teams of Jugs for their rendition of the sport known as the League. Sallow was asked to withdraw from the team due to his escapades with an overlord's daughter. He receives inspiration from Kidda, a peasant girl who joins the team, and together they challenge the League, and Sallow redeems his name. This film, directed by David Peoples, is a successful and unique film of its kind. It contains an entertaining and lean variation on the post-apocalyptic premise, combined with an adventure thriller reflecting on the dark ages of the past. Its cinematography showcases arid and stark landscapes without the foliage. George Miller's Road Warriors has inspired the movie's premise. However, the tone of the two films is entirely different. On the big screen, David Peoples has successfully masked the sport's visceral nature. This terrific film has very little dialogue. Instead, the characters' performance and behavior are what drive it. It's a sci-fi gem that never got the appreciation that it deserved. Slipstream, 1989. After Earth's devastation due to natural disasters in the future, bounty hunters Will Tasker and Belitsky capture a fugitive. Matt Owen, a small-time arms dealer, attempts to kidnap the fugitive from Tasker and Belitsky, who, in reality, are law enforcement officers. He does this so that he can claim the reward for himself. However, when he tries to escape, he is shot by Belitsky, and without him realizing it, the dart that he is hit with contains a tracking device. Now the pair of law enforcement officers can track his every move. First and foremost, Steven Lisberger's Slipstream attracts the audience's attention with its ensemble cast of Mark Hamill, Kitty Aldridge, and Bill Paxton. Besides being underrated due to its low budget, viewers also feel like the plot doesn't flow very coherently in the story. Despite its low-budget quirks of messy dialogue and campy editing, the movie is filled with a vast array of delightful ideas. Unfortunately, they were not executed to their full extent due to some issues pertaining to production. However, this Gary Kurtz production has a certain charm that viewers cannot deny, no matter how unintentionally hilarious it may appear. The locations used in the film were out of this world, using real planes flying all around. Overall, this movie might be underrated, but it's certainly not one that should be neglected. Trancers, 1984. In a bleak 23rd century future set in Los Angeles, Jack Death is a police trooper on the hunt for Martin Whistler, an evil psychic mastermind who uses his powers to turn people into zombie-like creatures called Trancers. Before getting caught, Whistler escapes via a time-traveling technique induced by drugs and goes back into the past. He finds himself in 1980s Los Angeles. On discovering what Whistler has done, Death continues his mission to bring him down. This movie, directed and produced by Charles Band, contains smart, quirky comic book ideas staggered throughout. It has a few buddy cop cliches, like Los Angeles in a sunken form, and hardcore cop and villain chase through time travel. Popular opinion entails that Trancers is one of the best sci-fi movies ever made and managed to acquire a large cult following in a short amount of time. While watching it, viewers will immediately recognize Charles Band's efficient style of direction that is slick and ruthless. This perfectly complements Paul DeMeo and Danny Bilson's script, where the dialogues are crisply delivered. Moreover, 1960s TV star Michael Stefani blew the audience away with his performance in his debut feature film, which also happens to be his only one. Stefani makes a great antagonist, while Tim Thomerson plays the perfect cop on his tail. His portrayal of Death is as iconic as Kurt Russell playing Snake Plissken. Overall, this product that received its inspiration from both The Terminator and Blade Runner is a film filled with bursting talent and a fantastic narrative. No Escape, 1994. John Robbins has been accused of assassinating his general officer, for which he receives a prison sentence. This prison is no ordinary prison, but a dangerous one that people only leave in body bags. No one has any idea what the prison is like, because no one ever gets out narrating its tale. The prison manager takes advantage of this and buys an island playground, which he calls Absalom. Here, he leaves the worst prisoners out in isolation to create a barbaric community of their own. The survival of the strongest is how people live their lives here. Unfortunately, Robbins is sentenced to this hell island after he tries to kill the prison manager. Martin Campbell's No Escape was also released with the title Escape from Absalom in certain countries. Viewers were absorbed into it at once due to its technicalities that very few 90s B-movies could portray. This cult classic from the mid-90s contains a futuristic premise combined with hardcore action. It has some unapologetically brutal scenes that some might find too violent, but they are rather thrilling and intriguing, although there are certain cheesy dialogues and special effects scattered throughout the film. This adds to its charm and provides the chance for comedic relief within this serious, action-packed sci-fi. Although the movie didn't perform great at the box office, Sega Genesis created a video game based on the film. No Escape might appear to be an incredibly obscure film that does not contain too many memorable characters amongst the brutality, but it certainly leaves a lasting impression if watched with an open mind. Crossworlds, 1996. Joe Talbot, a college student, gets involved in a battle that will save the world from Ferris, his arch-nemesis. Joe has an heirloom pendant that is the key to a scepter that opens the door to Crossworlds, an alternate dimension. Laura appears in his room to steal the pendant when Ferris's goons begin assaulting them. They now have no option but to run to AT for help. Krishna Rao's Crossworlds shows Rutger Hauer as the ultimate father figure, who appears to help save people from a multi-dimensional war in his long black coat. Unlike other B movies of the 80s and 90s, this one does not resort to gratuitous nudity or violence to draw its audience in. Instead, it's filled with action, fantasy, and science fiction. Nevertheless, it has plenty of decent digital effects that are not all schlocky. Emmy and Golden Globe nominee Josh Charles, the legendary Rutger Hauer, and the beautiful Andrea Roth make a great ensemble cast traveling across dimensions to complete their mission. No matter how average the film's plot might be, it's difficult to watch this film without a smile on your face. You can't help but appreciate the 90s special effects, low-budget performances, and settings in all their glory. Nirvana, 1997. Jimmy is a successful game designer working on his latest product. He soon discovers that a virus has infected this product, due to which the game's main character, Solo, now has a conscience. Jimmy is stuck in torment between the thought of his girlfriend Lisa, who left him, and Solo from the video game, begging him to end his life for being useless. He soon sets out on the search for someone who can help him with both, to discover where Lisa went, and to get rid of the game before its release. Nirvana marks a major departure for director Gabriele Salvatore's and Italian cinema. It's a visually impressive film that is wrapped in an existential sci-fi yarn. It revolves around the rogue protagonist of the Mind game, set in virtual reality and its creator. The movie contains out-of-the-ordinary designs, inventive ideas, and is considered a technical achievement. Unfortunately, the plot structure wasn't enjoyed because the film was overlooked and buried with time. Gabriele Salvatore has successfully created a movie with a combination of techno with a hippie soul. It's a modern creation that is a cyber odyssey seen from both real and virtual lenses. Viewers can see reoccurring themes of 60s counterculture, midlife introspection, and escapism throughout the film. Although this film has certain elements that might appear blurry or ambiguous, the clarity in dialogue successfully shields this and makes this an enjoyable, underrated watch.
Have a Coke.
You have a Coke.
Yeah.
Brainstorm, 1983. Researchers Lillian Reynolds and Michael Brace develop an intriguing system that helps record and playback actual incidents and moments experienced by people. There is an option of tapping into higher brain functions that allows one to look into someone else's mind and view their experiences. Because of this, people can also empathize with other people's experiences. However, while recording, the project's applications spiral out of control. The government soon discovers the project and tries to distance Michael and Lillian from it, since they discover that the device has military potential. Douglas Trumbull's Brainstorm explores and questions humanity's true need for telepathy. The machine's invention that it begins with intrigues viewers and makes many wish that they had similar technology at their disposal. The film has exciting technical effects, which is not a surprise in a Trumbull direction. Moreover, his style of filmmaking perfectly conveys the telepathic experiences of people with the device. He shifts between widescreen camera angle and regular format to shuffle between the experiences. The outstanding sound effects also involved standard sound effects and stereo. To top it all off, there is also the incorporation of standard lenses and breathtaking visual effects that the audience thoroughly enjoy. It's filled with cyberpunk themes and gives viewers an insight into writer Bruce Joel Rubin's obsession with the afterlife.
This is all the time we had for today's episode. We hope you guys liked it. It would be awesome if you guys can take some time to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell us which topic you want us to cover in the comment section. Have a fantastic day ahead and stay safe.
Despotique dans ton genre.